медицинских объектов. Здравствуйте, Владимир. Мы начали сегодня очень важный инфраструктурный проект по вашему поручению.
Only one who opposes it, it's the one who started this war. It's Russia. And we must push Russia toward just peace. Every blow and every threat from Russia must be met with firm sanctions.
There was a problem this year. In last year, some sort of the nuclear threats was showed on the final documents and final papers. I don't know why that world leaders not mentioned this year those particular important issue. And even if it's a G20, if it's official event and on a press conference, the official representative of G20 countries mentioned the nuclear doctrine, it's something would not be acceptable by world leaders and especially by the reality. And of course, if you're talking about the ways of the future, we do understand this from the 1st December 2024, the new presidency will be under the South Africa. And if we're talking about the troika of countries, it's India, last year G20 countries, current one Brazil, and the future one South Africa. It's not just only G20, it's also the BRICS countries. From this reason, I have some doubt that the Russia can continue his influence on the G20 presidency as not only G20, also as a BRIC country member.
There's irresponsible rhetoric coming from Russia, and that is not going to deter our support for Ukraine. We're now on day 1,000 of that conflict. That's 1,000 days of Russian aggression, 1,000 days of sacrifice in Ukraine. We have stood with Ukraine from the start, and I've been doubling down in my clear message that we need to ensure that Ukraine has what is needed for as long as is needed to win this war against Putin.
То, что атакам сегодня ночью по Брянской области использовался неоднократно, это, конечно, сигнал о том, что они хотят эскалацию. И без американцев использовать эти ракеты высокотехнологичные, Путин об этом многократно говорил, невозможно.
First of all, I don't want how to explain the even worse escalation, which was already across 1,000 days since the 24th of February 2022. Of course, a lot of breaking news just before the first day of G20 Summit was involved of some those information receiving it from New York Times insights that the American government and General Joe Biden, approved and confirmed the Ukraine can use alongside long-distance missiles like ATACMS on territory of the Russia. And of course, and everybody was talking about these from the summit since the beginning of the first day in Rio. About their worst escalation or what can be happen next, we don't know yet. It officially not confirmed, but the Ukrainian on the ground, the Russia put more Shahid drones every single day. It's true. It's the reality right now from the Kiev. If we're talking about the final declaration, if you're talking about some sort of the papers and memoranda and communique from this summit, I would like to compare the just on 85 articles on the 22 pages of the final declaration. Number 9 paragraph was about the Ukraine. If last year in Delhi, in this declaration was mentioned some sort of nuclear threats, nuclear terrorists, something like that, this year, this information, we cannot find it in the final declaration. Of course, it was some information regarding the food security, energy security, and of course, the way of the peace and of course, the status of the UN and the peace of Ukraine, which was written in the final declaration. But anything more like this, it wasn't shows on this paper. And we following this the press conferences of Lavrov, but I'm not pretty sure what he want to say this with the even worse which is going on right now in Ukraine. This G20 Summit was the latest official trip abroad for the current president of the United States, Joe Biden. And wasn't the symbolism shows that it's very good that he showed us, and decided and approved its long distance missiles, beyond territory of Russia with Ukraine, using of Ukraine. If you're talking about the future of Ukrainian-American cooperation in general, I'm the Ukrainian. As a Ukrainian, I was following the US elections and trying, to make the comparative aspect of the political rhetorics of both candidates. And was decision made by the Americans. And of course, we need to be more working hardly with the future administration. We do understand these Donald Trump president-elect team appointed new national security advisor, also the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State. For this reason, right now we need to work with, study to work with them and to talk about the future of the peace as well in Ukraine. And I'm more optimistic rather than not about this. And we do remember this rhetorics of was given by Donald Trump on his rally about his way of diplomacy, how to finish the war in Ukraine. And we do understand this phone calls was already made it between President-elect and the current President of Ukraine, Zelensky. And we do know, as I mentioned before, that some official envoys and advisors will meet this week with President-elect team. And from this reason, we do understand this his idea how to stop the war in Ukraine maybe will be implemented. I'm not sure where exactly, in what time, but officially, if he said something, this team should do this, and in a way of very positive for Ukraine. And we do know the Russian react for some sort of this, and we do remember this narrative for President Putin, what he said one of the conference on the beginning of September. For Russia, they was supported Kamala rather than Donald Trump. I do remember, because they was pretty not sincere by supportive of Kamala Harris team. But right now, the world is changed after 5th of November in the foreign affairs, in this MFA politics and for international relations with the United States. They're gonna change after the new administration. But if you're talking about the Ukrainian, the American one, it will be very good. We will still continue to work with the United States. If you're talking about the between Ukrainian Parliament of the U.S. Congress, I hope it will be the same as well. And we do understand these. We do understand this, and we're working on that really clearly. And of course, we are waiting for the new politics and the foreign politics in the U.S. after 20th of January.